Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in for another show. Welcome to all of our members, subscribers, and viewers all across the world to another live stream. For those of you who are new, I post these live streams regularly. If you are a fan of in-depth talk and community participation, you've come to the right place. If you prefer short-form videos, you can go ahead to my video tab where you will find plenty of day-to-day videos and updates that are short. Now, in this live stream, I wanted to talk to you about a recent meeting that Benjamin Netanyahu held with the top security figures in Israel and what his plans were after returning from the United States of America during his last visit. Before that, I wanted to give you a couple of updates. Firstly, we have more signs coming up from Iran that they're preparing for something very, very big. Firstly, we've seen intense threats. The missiles are coming, run away. It's inevitable. We've seen reports that they're posting these videos on national media to do with the war, preparing the nation. Yesterday we spoke about the red flags on their religious institutions, hinting that it's time for revenge, and the fact that the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran is considered to be something that is extremely offensive when it comes to the honor of the Iranian people. It's not only a matter of sovereignty, security, and national security, something which the Secretary General of Hezbollah mentioned in his speech yesterday that we also spoke about. Things are being tense. I'm going to have another video after this live stream with the projected date, according to certain leaks, of this coordinated attack on Israel. And things are not looking like they're going anywhere. We've had a lot of problems when it comes to flights in Israel. Some people are blaming Benjamin Netanyahu for the issues that are happening with the flights. He's reportedly not allowing some people to flee. They obviously had millions of Israelis already fleeing in the past 10 months. Now that it's closer than ever that we're going to see a full throttle coordinated attack, many people would want to leave immediately, and we're having more and more problems. More countries are canceling their flights, countries issuing warnings, and it's not looking like things are going away. And Israel is intensifying. They're attacking Syria now. We've had a couple of attacks in Syria. We also had escalations from Iraq and from the resistance movements in that area, where they were attacking US bases inside of Syria too. So things are escalating. However, we still haven't seen that exact attack that we're anticipating when it comes to the resistance, although in my next video I will be talking about what the resistance movements are doing now and how that could be translated. To go into the subject, and then I'll open obviously the space for all of you for your participation and any questions as well. The Israeli broadcasting, they published a couple of things today. That number one, Benjamin Netanyahu, upon his return from the United States, he wanted to sack Yoav Gallant, the defense minister. He previously sacked Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, before the 7th of October during the protests of the judicial reform, because Yoav Gallant was showing more of an understanding when it comes to the people protesting against it, and people were already warning Netanyahu from a security risk. People are seeing Israel divided, Israel's enemies are seeing weakness, and that led to the 7th of October attack. Many people claim that this was due to Netanyahu's recklessness and his attack on what they view as Israeli democracy. He had to bring him back after public pressure. Now we're hearing calls that he wants to sack him again, and he's had tensions all along this time with Yoav Gallant. They previously refused to have press conference together. They refused to have meetings. They attended meetings that were completely torn apart. When they were in, they had fights in them, and now we have another fight that I'm going to be talking to you about. Swear words, outright threats, and at the peak of it, we had Yoav Gallant himself going to Benjamin Netanyahu's office, threatening. He wasn't there, but he threatened them. He said, next time I'm going to bring a brigade from the IDF, a Golani brigade, to set law and order. Look at how divided this country is on every level, on a societal level, on a military level, on a political level, more than ever before. According to the Israeli Broadcasting Authority, he delayed sacking Yoav Gallant after the assassinations took place. And he also considered, according to that report, sacking Herzi Halevi, the chief of staff, and Ronen Bar, the head of the Shabak, that were criticizing him here and there. He wants to bring people who will not question him. He's behaving more and more like a fascist dictator. He's on a frenzy, and some of his behavior pattern hints that the man is suffering from paranoia as well. He's worried about everyone next to him. He wants everyone to follow his orders. It looks like the man is suffering from paranoia. And he was at the hospital several times, so clearly there's anxiety there. So we had a meeting. There was a meeting between Benjamin Netanyahu and the heads of the security establishment in Israel. And we had reports in Israeli media. Netanyahu was warned that the deal would be missed and slammed the heads of the security establishment. All of them. Look, all of them apart from himself. You're weak and you're lax, he's telling them. Reports say that it was a shouting meeting. They were shouting at each other, and at the end of the meeting, and I'll elaborate further now, Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the table and said, you're all lax and you're all weak and you shouldn't apply pressure on me, you should be applying pressure on Yahya Sinwar. Megalomaniac, man, insane. So the report said a discussion with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last Wednesday reportedly reached high levels of tones, and those present defined the meeting as a screaming and shouting match. All the heads of the defense establishment said that the meeting, Netanyahu's demands would stall the deal. All of them said Netanyahu's plans would stall the deal, but they got the impression that the prime minister was not ready to listen. Benjamin Netanyahu was not ready to listen. It was reported in Kan 11 News this evening on Friday that Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar told Netanyahu at the hearing, quote, we feel on the one hand that you are sending us to negotiate. On the other hand, you are making changes to the plan. And by the way, these are things that we quoted before many times. These things happen many, many times. This is not the first time. And they continue. According to a report in Keshet News, he added, if you mean that you are not, if you don't want to have an offer on the table, tell us. They're sending us. If you don't want to deal, tell us. The meeting that was first reported by journalist Ben Caspit was held to promote moves that would lead to a breakthrough in the negotiations and take advantage of the recent assassinations and advance the deal. Now, let me just stop here for a second, add that we already had analysis and assumptions that Benjamin Netanyahu would be using these assassinations as the final sign of victory before reaching a deal, so that even if the deal is not great, even if Hamas are still in power, even if they withdraw, he can say, look, I took down the top figures in the movement, I took down top figures in Hezbollah, we attacked them everywhere, and now we can reach a deal. However, it doesn't look like that. It looks like he wants to continue. It was reported that Major General Nitzan Alon told Netanyahu that, quote, you know that all the parameters that you added will not be accepted and there will be no deal. With what you say, we have nothing to go on. We are at zero. And the chief of staff also said similar things, according to the report. The head of the Mossad, according to the report, said, there is a deal. If we delay, we may miss the opportunity. We have to take it. Everyone is agreeing, apart from him. The head of the Mossad, the head of the IDF, the head of the Shabak, all of the defense minister, everyone is agreeing apart from him. This is the behavior of a mad dictator. At this point, according to the report, Netanyahu knocked on the table and slammed the heads of the security establishment. You are slackers. You don't know how to conduct tough negotiations. You are weak. You are putting words in my mouth. Instead of pressuring the prime minister, pressurize Sinwar. Pressurize Sinwar. He got completely mad. And again, that's not new, but it's reaching higher levels. It was reported that senior officials in the security system said at the end of the meeting, quote, Netanyahu does not want to deal at this time. He continues to insist, even though we make it clear to him that the system knows how to deal with the implications of the deal. He gave up on the abductees. The Shin Bet stated in response, we do not refer to what was said in closed discussions and in Egypt about repeated leaks from these discussions. The Prime Minister's office responded, the report is incorrect. Sinwar is the obstacle to the agreement and not the Prime Minister, who is willing to go a long way to release the hostages who are dear to him, while maintaining Israel's security and preventing conditions that would allow Hamas to regain control of the Strip, threaten Israel, and return to commit atrocities like October the 7th. With this desire, the Prime Minister ordered the negotiating delegation to leave for Cairo already on Friday night or on the first day of the month. The headquarters of the families for the return of the abductees said the following reports, quote, the meaning of the disturbing things published this evening is that the Prime Minister has decided to withdraw from the deal that he himself drew up. We will not allow the release of the abductees. This is what they're saying, as in Netanyahu. The headquarters added, we demand that the negotiating team and all the heads of the security branches immediately appear before the public and provide a reliable report regarding who is obstructing the negotiations for the release of the abductees and what are the motives for this. After the Minister of Defense also confirmed in his voice that Israel missed previous opportunities to release the abductees, we call on the public to stand as a wall in a way and defend the national duty to return all the abducted and the abductees home, the living for rehabilitation, the murdered and the dead for burial in their country. They ended it there. What do we understand? Firstly, we have a pattern. These problems, these fights, these disagreements have been going on for a very long time, and these reports have been going out ever since they started to negotiate. We've had several deals on the table that the security establishment, the negotiating delegation accepted, and Netanyahu rejected. Not once, not twice. More than that, we had protests in the streets. Hamas accepted a deal. Biden declared that Netanyahu had it. Every time they used to say Netanyahu adds something. He gives us orders in the morning, he gives us different addendums in the evening, and he hinders us reaching a deal. Reports previously said he banned the head of the Mossad from visiting the negotiating delegations. He sent his own crew to ensure that the negotiating delegation do not do things or say things that are against him or against his demands. And he also told the negotiating delegation, you cannot sign a deal. You cannot sign a deal. Yet, we don't hear about that on mainstream media. The man is not only committing a genocide, him and his state, of course, it's not just about him, and infanticide, crimes against humanity, destruction, barbarism, recklessness. He is going against everyone in his establishment. You're talking about a mad dictator, yet No one is saying that, at least when it comes to the mainstream media. So people are thinking as if, oh no, everything's fine. You have a man, one figure preventing all of this. When is the time to take action against that man and bring him down once and for all? He goes, of course, he commits crimes against humanity. And that's something deep rooted in Israel. And that's a bigger problem, of course, that needs to be resolved. It's not just Benjamin Netanyahu. He goes against the will of the US president. He goes against the will of many of his allies. He goes against the will of the Israeli people, or the majority of them. He goes against the will of the abductees. He goes against the will, and he kills them. He kills them like he kills Palestinian people. He kills Israelis, like they killed Israelis on the 7th of October, in the Nova Festival, in Reim, in Nir Oz, in Be'eri, like they ordered their people, their army, to shoot at everyone going back to Gaza. They shot them when they were in Gaza. They killed a third of their own people in Gaza. Yet you still have him there. What is so difficult about applying more pressure on this man to be removed from the equation? Even if the man who replaces him doesn't provide an all-out solution, at least we have a temporary ceasefire. It's not like if another leader comes instead of Netanyahu, all of a sudden we're going to hear peace talks and everything's going to be roses and beautiful and utopia. That's not going to happen with the political scope at the moment in Israel. At least we have no alternative really, but what we do have is an alternative to this man who can potentially get a deal, and a deal could have a ceasefire, can lift the pressure off everyone, the suffering primarily of the people of Gaza, going through a genocide, going through the worst barbarism, one of the worst barbarism humanity has ever seen. And this is what I wanted to share with you, everyone. Let me open the space up, check if you have anything from the community. If you have any questions for me, if you wouldn't mind highlighting them, just so I don't miss anything in the live chat. Before that, Studio Rainer, thank you ×2, and Bob Marston for your supers. Studio Rain is saying, do you think an Iran insider was bribed to kill Hamas leader? I, in all honesty, don't know if there was an insider or if it's not an insider, but I think there's a lot of talk surrounding that simply to cast doubt, and it's a PSYOP operation to have division between Iran and the resistance movements. Let's not fall for that. Iran is the most supportive country of the Palestinian people by words and by actions. They are people with honorable leadership and honorable population. They prove time after time that they are the best country when it comes to the Palestinian cause. They believe it wholeheartedly, and things like that happen. There was a mistake. Undeniably, there was a mistake. There was a flaw. Absolutely, it should be dealt with. Definitely. Of course. However, some people are taking that argument to say, Iran sold him. Look what they sacrificed him. What kind of garbage is that? What kind of demented analysis is this? You're talking about a country that's been sacrificing to support the Palestinian cause all of this time, when other Arab and Muslim governments are sitting there in their luxurious lifestyles and ignoring the Palestinian people, many of them. And we're talking about the governments and the officials so that no one gets offended here. Although some populations have more sympathy with others too, okay? But we're talking about governments and countries in general, the position of the country officially and what we're seeing. Arab countries could not condemn the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh yesterday. Arab countries, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, not even condemning. What is that? What shameful governments, what shameful positions. When you have the people, people prayed the janazah on him in Iran, in Qatar, in Yemen, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Turkey, right? In Palestine, of course, in other parts of the world. And they couldn't condemn. They couldn't condemn an illegal act of barbarism from a genocidal entity. What is that? Who do these people serve? So don't fall for this friction thing. And people trying to say, oh, it's Iran, they planned it and they wanted to kill him. All a bunch of garbage, psyop to stir division. They didn't like the scenes of unity in the Muslim world. They didn't like the scenes of unity globally, people condemning, average people. No, not, of course not the governments. The governments wouldn't say a word. Like, talk about. They'll bark all day long. If a cat loses its paw in Iran, but they wouldn't condemn a political leader's assassination, right? They'll call for a military coup in a country they don't like if a monkey starts coughing. But assassination, hypocrisy and blindness. So don't fall for these things. And again, there are flaws that should be dealt with. But the fact of the matter is, Iran is the most supportive country of the Palestinian cause. Number one in the whole world. Bob Marston is saying, it seems to me obvious that Bibi has blown his cookies and Israeli foreign policy has gone scorched earth. The Israeli citizens need to learn this man will, with his hands on the levers, is a psycho. Look, many of them already know. People call him the crime minister. People call him a dictator. People call him so many things. People used to refer to him as Hitler. Israelis, my friend. But there's so much they can do. There is a path of taking him down by force, but taking him down by force means civil war, means bye-bye. Israel's gone. Because the people who are for and people who are against are heavily armed in Israel. Studio Rainer saying Mossad wants a ceasefire and BlackRock doesn't. Very few superiors exist that could protect Netanyahu other than BlackRock or Vanguard. I'm not sure about Vanguard, BlackRock. If they don't want a thingy, and the Mossad, well, they said they want a ceasefire. And again, the level of friction between the prime minister and the head of the Mossad is unprecedented, by the way, because the head of the Mossad belongs directly to the prime minister, reports directly to him. He belongs to his office. So, but still, Netanyahu is very condescending and patronizing with his approach to the security establishment in Israel. Tayyib Hussein as well, thank you so much for your super thanks. You're saying, Brother Mahmoud, salam alaikum, alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. You're saying, I hope you are family, you too, my well. Thank you so much, my friend. Do you see a temporary ceasefire in the near future? I'm not seeing it. No, I'm not seeing it. It doesn't look like it. So long as Netanyahu's there and so long he hasn't protected his day after the war, in the long run, not short-term protection like a safety net from an opposition leader here or there, he will clearly continue. He's not even taking these current assassinations that some people assume to be very symbolic and say Benjamin Netanyahu can climb down now and have a ceasefire and tell everyone, his bloodthirsty supporters, look, I killed these people and let's reach a ceasefire. He's not even doing that based on these reports that we just shared with you. We're not looking at a ceasefire, I think. And it looks like everything is all out. Edras Santos, thank you so much. You said Brazilian president condemned the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh because the Brazilian president is his shoes positions is better than some of the Arab leaders' positions. That's why. Simple. And well done on him, on everyone who did so. And Rebecca Spiegel, thank you so much for your super. And live chat. Faizi Timbers asking me if they kidnapped the Imam of Al-Aqsa. Is that true? They took him for questioning. After he sent his condolences for the assassination of the martyr Ismail Haniyeh. He's 89 years old. He's a frail man. They took him for questioning, but they released him. After a few hours, and they told him you're banned from the ancient city up until old city up until Sunday, and you might be expelled for 6 months. You might be banned from entering for 6 months. And they do that regularly with people who go to Al-Aqsa and say anything political sometimes. His name is Ikrima Sabri. He is the Mufti of Al-Aqsa, of Al-Quds, yeah, Al-Aqsa, Al-Quds. And Mustafa Jubarte Mahmoud, the America and its allies are scared to death for Iran's retaliation after seeing the supreme leader weeping when he was performing the janazah for Ismail Haniyeh. They are indeed worried. They are believing that the response is coming, undeniably. We've heard that from their statements. We also understand that they will be helping Israel with defense, not with attack, however, so far. Not with attack, if they decide to retaliate. And all of that would be in line with what they've done so far. They wouldn't attack, they wouldn't help Israel in attack, they would help them in defense as much as possible. We heard that the United States is sending more deployments to Israel, more defense systems against missiles. And the supreme leader of Iran and him weeping over the national resistance leader of Palestine. He's a Palestinian leader. It's a massive sign, it's a massive symbol. Shows you how united these people are, shows you how true they are to their own word, how honorable these people are. Unlike what the ignorant people say, you know, people who always thrive on this sectarianism and division, not knowing who they serve, knowingly or unknowingly. Ignoring the PSYOP projects. It's like they're delusional to these things. Some people think everything is blasé like that, everything's just... And you have many people who call themselves intellectuals. Oh, it's all a joke, it's all a theater, it's all a theater. Fortunately, some people you can't even... It's pointless to speak with them even. And 1984 Sarajevo, thank you, super. He said, if Netanyahu goes to eternal hell, things will also not get much better. There are too many psychopaths in the Knesset. Yeah, that's true. That's what I always say. It's not just about him. It's about Israel as a state. Israel as a state founded on racism, supremacy, genocide, barbarism, depravity, supremacy, inequality, lies, deception, propaganda, pseudo-history. They were built on all of these things. So it's not just Netanyahu, but Netanyahu represents something, and he's there. He's there. Although the man is responsible technically for what happened, although many other people are responsible too, he's still there, and no action, no serious action is being taken against him by the people who claim that they are champions for human rights and democracy. And Saig Fishlin, Bibi must be backed by one or more of the most powerful families and corporations in the world. Nothing else makes sense. He acts protected even while the US power falters. You're quite right about that. Benjamin Netanyahu is very well connected. Benjamin Netanyahu is connected to big money, very, very big money. He is connected with Edelson. He's connected with other families with very rich pockets, corporations. He's very well connected, and he received masses of funds. Benjamin Netanyahu tried to purchase every large mainstream media in Israel at one point, to a level where some people filed for corruption charges against him. Several years back in Israel, he tried to buy, Benjamin Netanyahu, to buy every single mainstream media outlet to be in favor of him. And you're talking about billions. It's not like small money. And some of them refused, of course, some of them refused. And there was a lot of talk about that in Israel, and where will you have that money? You know what I mean? So he'll convince certain people to buy him these things. He's known to like his lavish stuff. The investigations on corruption against him in Israel used to say about how so many luxury things he gets from friends and stuff like that. And he is indeed very well connected with people who have power and money outside of Israel. Mind over matter. Hi Mahmoud, do you think the US knew Israel was going to kill the Hamas leader in Tehran? Well, Iran is reportedly saying that they are. Let me tell you what they said. We had a senior figure in Iran saying that Ali Bakri, right, the serving foreign minister, he said, oh no, that's something else. Okay, hold on. He said justice will be served without any tolerance. But we had another figure in the security establishment in Iran saying that the United States knew about the assassination. They knew about the assassination, but they're trying to act like they did not know. So they're already blaming them. Studio Rain, thank you for your super. Said, do you know who mentored Netanyahu? George Birnbaum. He taught politics for the sole purpose of challenging Soros. It was a game for him. I'm not entirely sure, but thank you for that contribution. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't really looked into that side, but thank you for your input. However, like I said, the man is very well connected. The man is very well connected. Let's go to and Faraz Hussein. Thank you so much for your super. You're asking, Salaam alaikum, alaikum salam. What did the Imam do wrong? I didn't see anything wrong. Let's go to your next one. Let's open the other live chat as well, just to make sure I reach all of your comments. Teshikoma, you're asking me about Gaza. In Gaza, it's a repeat of the same thing. It's a repeat of constant barbarism, attacking civilian populations every single day. The numbers rise, the numbers can go down, and the resistance continues its attacks. But the most significant thing, and this is something that I will be talking about in the video that I will post after this live stream, is the fact that in Gaza now, they are launching more missiles on Israel. Dozens, more than 20, we heard. More than 20. What does that tell you? This country has been there for 10 months, Israel. They're committing a genocide. They are destroying everything. How can the Palestinians launch missiles at them? 20. What does that tell you? That it's a massive failure. It's a humiliation. It's a military humiliation. The fact that you still have, to the Palestinians, considered strategic weapon based on their capabilities, missiles reaching up to 30, 40 kilometers, although Al-Qassam targeted Tel Aviv not long ago, which is 90 kilometers, depending on where you launch it from Gaza. And apparently these missiles were launched from South Gaza, an area that Israel is supposedly present in all across. They're controlling the Philadelphia corridor, supposedly. They're saying that they are, demolishing everything, taking everything down. But the other day, they invaded an area again for the sixth time. What does that tell you if a country needs to invade a place in an area that it destroyed and is present at in partially in some locations almost all the time, 6 times? That means they failed 6 times. That means they failed 6 times. It's a great failure. And we're hearing more people saying that Lebanon and Gaza are trying to launch more and more missiles to exhaust the Iron Dome and the air defense systems in preparation for the great attack that's coming. Jennifer Ann is saying, just in Iranian media reports, in coming hours, the world will witness extraordinary scenes and very important developments. Interesting. Where'd you get that from? Let me have a look. Iranian State TV. Is it? Well, I'm hearing it on another website, not the Iranian State TV website. A website called APA in Azerbaijan. In coming hours, the world will witness extraordinary scenes and very important developments, Iranian State TV anchor said in a live program focused on Tehran's retaliation against Israel over the assassination of Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh Tehran. APA reports. Okay, APA is, what is that, Azerbaijan? I've never heard of them. Yeah, could be they quoted them. I mean, I haven't heard the reports from anywhere else in the next hours. Listen, they could be playing too. They could be, playing on Israel to, prepare. And we've heard reports from Lebanon sending Israel specific locations. Be careful. Anyone living in that area, be careful. They're scaring them now because they know Israel's on tenterhooks. Everything is on the highest alert now. Faizi Timber saying, will Turkey close its embassy after the Israeli minister telling them to mourn with Erdogan back in Turkey? Okay, for those of you who don't know, Turkey took their flag halfway in their embassy in Tel Aviv. And I think it's one of the figures in the embassies, I don't think the ambassador is there. He was called, for a telling off from the Israeli foreign minister. I'm not sure they'll close it. I mean, so far they still have it there, They're trying not to close everything. Turkey so far. Ramplan saying, hello, Mahmoud. They are talking about in Israel an army of 100,000 approaching ground zero to start Armageddon. Aren't they, their army, tired and doesn't want to fight? They are tired. They don't want to fight. They have problems with numbers. They have problems with levels of weapons, supposedly. And they are unable to recover from these numbers. As a matter of fact, before they invaded Rafah, Herzi Halevi, the chief of staff, told Netanyahu, we don't have enough numbers. We're in urgent need of 7,000 troops. But Benjamin Netanyahu still went ahead. And now he's telling them, look, I told you we had to invade and this and that. But they're still suffering. And now they're not giving anyone a break. Some people have been deployed for 8-9 months consecutively, no break, no nothing. People are committing suicide, some of them. And that's alongside, apart from those who were killed and wounded, the tens of thousands. So I think, Israel is acting more than what it's actually capable of doing. It's acting as if it could do things that's beyond its capability. Why? Because if Gaza is beyond your capability, if Gaza, which is supposedly the weakest in terms of arsenal and equipment and with all of the resistance fronts, and you're unable to defeat them, what does that tell you? That you're weaker than a spider's web. But they're loudmouths, and they're bullying and attacking and flexing. Let's see where that gets them to. And Studio Rainer and Ras and Matlas X, thank you for your super. Studio Rainer saying, I'd avoid criticizing the Arab states like Saudis or the UAE. Israel is done and everyone knows it. Tactically, it's wise not to make your intentions public. Ras saying, right wing mobilizing in the UK against Brit Muslims. Yeah, we spoke about that briefly yesterday. Look, the right wing, and again, when you talk about right wing, there's a difference between talking about people who are traditionally conservative in their views, or left wing with people who are traditionally left wing in their views. What we're talking about, really and truly, is a group of very, very ignorant, racist, hate-filled, low IQ people who, well, firstly, they don't have spokespersons in the government anymore, okay? Because, the previous government, they had spokespersons for the extreme right wing, right? Braverman and Patel and all of these depraved figures. They used to talk as if they are like the representatives of the most extreme right wing to appeal to some racist people in the community and instill division in society. So these people feel like they don't have anyone speaking on their behalf in the government, so they need to act out properly. Secondly, they follow reports and unsubstantiated stuff, and they start like this man who was born here in the UK. He was a black Christian who committed these acts the other day. People on social media start to say, oh, look what the Muslims and immigrants are doing and this and that. And then you had these riots. So they didn't even establish the information. They didn't know who it was. And all of a sudden they're acting up like that, right? And you're talking about, there are there's a number of them. They're causing a lot of problems for the British government and the police in Britain. And clearly what's happening with them is not enough. They're not enabled because to an extent there is, to an extent, a racist tone in the establishment in Britain. So there is a level of institutionalized racism, a level again, and that needs to be addressed. And yesterday I spoke about senior figures in the security establishment in Britain warning from people like these and figures like, extreme right wing. Now you have this guy who fled away, this Robinson guy. There were like terror charges against him and for his speech and his violence and doing illegal stuff against the state and stuff like that. Because these people, you're talking about criminal behavior as well. It's not just that they're projecting this racist, abhorrent tone against any community and coming from anyone. Racism is ugly, coming from anyone towards anyone. But they are outright criminals. Like, they attack the police the most. Like, who are you to attack the police? How can anyone attack a law enforcement officer? It's ignorant to the highest level. It's like you're attacking the state that's supposed to protect you. You can't lift a finger on a police officer. You know what I mean? He's a representative of the country. That's it. You can disagree with them and criticize the police and criticize that. But going and hitting them, they hit them, stones, fire, but wrestling with them in the streets. Pissing and throwing piss on them and swearing at them. It's like, what have you gone mad or something? What are you doing? But clearly there needs to be an answer to that. And I think the first answer would be by educating these people. I mean, number one, educating these people. I'm sure some of them didn't have interactions with like people within the community or society. Some of them will have, only like-minded people who they talk to 24/7. They are not open-minded to anything else. They haven't spoken to people who they spew venom at. And, things like that, some sort of education or something. And obviously, the police, they have to take measures against them because you're talking about criminal behavior, about public disorder and stuff like that. Trying to attack mosques now and whatever. What did the mosque do to you? But again, it's the level of bigotry and ignorance. You know what I mean? And I heard Starmer saying he has to do some actions against them and stuff like that. We'll see what the government does. And again, there's a lot of tolerance, and there has been a lot of tolerance to racism coming from the right wing for a very long time. And that's something that requires time to get rid of. It's not like something that disappears all at once. And again, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to have a plan to do with education and informing these people some way or another. Do you know what I mean? Through community programs or something. But yeah, this is what I think about that. And Sarajevo saying, what is the situation in Tel Aviv airport? Thank you for your super, by the way, Sarajevo, and Studio Rain as well, Matlas X. You said, what is the situation in Tel Aviv airport? Believe that their Polish-Ukrainian passports ready to flee. Well, we heard that there are a lot of disruptions. Many airlines are not going there. And people are accusing Netanyahu himself for hindering people fleeing. He doesn't want this mass exodus. So there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of problems. And Studio Rain is saying, British men are fighting amongst each other. Islam teaches defend yourself but respect the authority. Their attempts to make people hate Islam is backfiring. Look, I mean, the campaign against Islam has been going on for some time, and it's not something you get rid of in one day, like all other aspects of, embedded like racism and bigotry. Slowly, it's, more and more people are being informed and becoming more awake to the truth as it is. And some people will still have this approach because it's comfortable, right? So to many people, it's easy to keep that approach. It's more difficult to change your approach. It's easy to be extreme. It's easy to think that, I'm on the right path and everyone else is wrong. That's very easy. What's difficult is saying, no, hell no, I might be wrong. Okay. And question your religion too, your society and your country. Question that. That's a bit more difficult. So many people choose the easy path. Oh no, we're great. We have always been great. For some reason, because of what you follow or where you were born, and it's the comfort zone. I'll find a few like-minded people who agree with me and bang and clap, and they continue. That's why I think education is very important. And Deep Dive is saying apparently Iranian state TV said something will happen a few hours of you. Yeah, we just spoke about that, and we just had one report coming from Azerbaijan. I haven't been able to establish that from anywhere else. However, like I said, we're hearing more and more reports coming from Iran and from Lebanon, They're tricking Israel and playing with their nerves now because they're on high alert. So that could be, part of it. MC, thank you so much for your super. You're saying, thanks for your daily updates. My pleasure, my friend. What is your thoughts on Iran's nuclear status? Do you think they secretly have some? If not, how far away do you think they are from having them? Let me establish one thing first. I don't like wars. I don't like weapons. I don't like any of that garbage. But we live in a world that is ruled by force and intimidation and weapons to intimidate. It's ruled by that. It's an unfortunate state of affairs because humanity has the capacity to diffuse tensions and reach resolutions in diplomatic manners, right? Not by fighting, right? But again, people make money of fighting, people make money of killing, and people have an interest to keep this industry of war going on. And that forces nations that fall under and are victims of this approach, primarily supported by and pushed by the United States of America, to protect themselves by any means necessary. Why? Because that's life. You protect yourself. I had to elaborate on that. But then again, you're talking about Iran. What are my thoughts about Iran's nuclear? So long as we have countries with 6,000 to 7,000 warheads of nuclear bombs, Iran has the right to have nuclear weapons, not just nuclear energy. That's number one. Although they said they're not seeking to get nuclear power, but they are entitled to. Who's America carrying 6,000, 7,000 warheads that can destroy the world several times to tell another country, oh no, you're not allowed to have nuclear weapons? Who are you? Shut up. So long as you don't dismantle and get rid of all of your nuclear program, you're not in a position to tell anyone else not to obtain nuclear weapons. That's number one. Secondly, we want the world to get rid of this awful weapon because it's like a cloud on humanity. People think, oh, World War III, what is going to happen? Why should we have that? Why should we have that? Over what? Exactly. So, again, that needs a level of understanding. That needs a level of understanding. Russia and the United States made some progress that, funny enough, the United States deviated from. But it shows that if there's a will, there's a way, right? Get rid of it. Saying that, people have been saying that they have the capacity to reach a nuclear bomb within a week from 2 decades ago. What does that tell you? They could be having dozens of nuclear weapons secretly, although they declare they don't want it. And again, it's not just about the countries who have the nuclear energy to have them. Other countries might have purchased it. So I think they might already have them. They might already have them, and they have the technology. And to have a nuclear bomb very, very quickly, very quickly. And again, you need to understand what they report and what they actually have. Did they declare everything? Do they have something else that's secret? When you talk about nuclear weapons, you have to be very secretive about it. And thank you so much for your super. And that looks like looks like that was the last one. Let's see if we have anything else. No. Okay. Cool. We'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for another live stream. Great being with you as always. I'll hopefully have another video for you after this live stream. Thank you so much to everyone who participated, and apologies if I missed some of your comments. Typical to the live chat, we'll miss some of the comments, but I'm here with you regularly. Special thanks to Studio, Rainer, Bob Marston, Taib Hussein, Esdras Santos, Rebecca, 1984, Faraz, and Ghas and Matlas, and MC, for all of your supers and your contribution. Much appreciated. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you everyone else for your wonderful comments. And again, apologies if I'm unable to approach all of them. Apart from that, like I said, you can see my video after this, hopefully. I might have one or two. I'll hopefully be with you tomorrow, God willing, inshallah. And stay blessed. Have a good rest of the day or night or evening, depending on where you are. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care, everyone. Peace.